Hello all, welcome to the new Simply Put series by Kalamais Academy. This is Priyanka Mahapatra, faculty at Kalamais. So today we'll be having a discussion on the newspaper dated 21st December and 22nd December 2023. So the articles which are important from our exam point of view are Post Office Bill 2023. Again, COP28 Climate Summit. We have discussed a lot in the previous editions of the new Simply Put videos, so you can kindly refer there. Okay. Apart from that, we will be discussing about the volcano, the Iceland volcano, about the Sita's birthplace, Mithila region. This is important. Again, we would be discussing about the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita bill. Okay, that is going to replace the IPC 1860. Okay, and then we are going to discuss about the greenwashing as a terminology also. Okay, so these are the 5 articles we are going to discuss today, which are displayed on your screen. So the first article is about the Indian Penal Code to Nyaya Sanhita, what's new, what is out, and what changes, right? So in this article, we would be discussing that what new things have been introduced, what is deleted, and what changes have been made to the previous law, right? So this Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita bill, it got passed without much debate because of the suspension of the 143 opposition members following protest over the recent security breach in parliament. Okay, and it has made several departures from the colonial era Indian Penal Code 1860. So basically it has replaced the Indian Penal Code 1860. Okay, so we would be discussing that. So the first is regarding suicide. So the previous law, it is saying that any attempt to die by suicide will be considered as a criminal offense. It will be a punishable offense under section 309 of the IPC. But now it has been changed. It is saying that any attempt to die by suicide will no longer considered as a criminal offense. That means it has decriminalized the attempt to die by suicide. Again, abatement to suicide will be continued as a punishable offense, but now this time with a stricter term. Okay, now the imprisonment will be up to 10 years and also it will be liable to fine. Okay, another change we have made is that any attempt to commit suicide with the intent to trouble any public servant from discharging his or her duties, official duties, will be considered as a criminal offense. Here, this change has been made in order to prevent the hunger strike deaths, the hunger strikes during the protests, and the self-immolations. Right? Then come to the lynching and the hate crimes. Till now, we were not having any defined provision to deal with such crimes and the mob lynching. Police used to just register a case under section 302 of the IPC, okay, as a murder case. But now this time we have made it as a separate offense. We have defined certain provisions. We have actually penalized the lynching at par with murder now. So therefore the punishment will be death penalty depending upon the severity of the crime. And also we have defined the term mob lynching, which says that when a mob of 5 or more individuals commit murder based on the factors such as race, caste, community or personal belief, that will be called as mob lynching. Okay, so this is the change we made with regard to lynching and the hate crimes. Then coming to the crimes against the women and children. Here it is very important thing to remember that we have introduced gender neutrality for the offences pertaining to the children. That means now we have acknowledged that both boys and girls can be victims or offenders. Okay, it is avoiding any reinforcing of stereotypes or biases associated with the specific genders. That means the boys cannot be assumed to be always the offenders and they cannot be the victims. Similarly, girls cannot always be the victims, they can be offenders, right? So thereby it is aligning with the human rights principles. Thereby it is also emphasizing that the protection of the child, protection of the rights of every child, okay, that is to be preserved irrespective of their gender. Very important change we have made. Again, regarding the rape of a minor girl, we have brought in more stricter punishment. Previously we used to have only life imprisonment of 20 years or for life according to the severity of the case, but now we have brought death penalty also along with the life imprisonment. Okay, depending on the severity of the case. Again, coming to the sedition, that is, the offense of sedition has been omitted. Very, very important change that was waiting to happen. But here, it is to be remembered that any acts against the nation which is actually endangering the unity and integrity of the nation is a very much punishable offense. So citizens now have the right to speak against the government but not against the nation. Okay, so whenever citizens are speaking against the government, it is to be protected, but anything which they are speaking against the nation, that is not to be tolerated. Therefore, it has replaced the government with the country. Rajdroh has been changed to Deshdroh. Okay, so for that matter, penalty that was only for 3 years before or life imprisonment, now it has been changed to 7 years of imprisonment. Right? So this was all about these 2 points. Then we come to the new offenses. So certain new offenses has been added this time, keeping into view the social dynamics, the changing social dynamics, the evolution of the crimes that has been happening. For example, we have added organized crime, we have added terrorist acts that was not there in the previous law. We have added hit and run case. We have added any acts that is endangering the sovereignty, integrity and unity of India. We have also addressed the false or the fake news here, okay, which was not there in the previous law. Similarly, some petty organized crimes have been also added. For example, theft, snatching, cheating, unauthorized selling of tickets, unauthorized betting or gambling has been also added. Okay, selling of public examination question papers have been also added because they have been increasing rampantly because of the social media, because of the reachability now, right? But again, here is a concern with regard to the organized crime and the terrorist act. So here we are already having certain laws to address terrorism like UAPA, and here it is unclear that how both the laws UAPA and this bill will be operating concurrently in cases of terrorist acts, especially when UAPA is much more stringent than BNS, than the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. Okay, and under UAPA the cases are to be heard in special courts. So how these two laws will be cooperatively acting and how they will be acting concurrently in such situations, that needs to be seen. Then coming to the unnatural sexual offences. So here section 377 of the IPC has been omitted, which was already verdicted by the 2018 Supreme Court judgment. Okay, so this has been completely omitted, but now the concerns are been raised about the complete omission of the provision here, because with the total provision removal there might be legal gaps or challenges in prosecuting individuals for certain non-consensual sexual acts. Okay, so when there is non-consensual sexual act, then which law will be protecting the victims there? Okay, there is no alternative legal framework now. There is no clear provision addressing those specific situations. So it will be very difficult to ensure justice for the victims and hold the perpetrators accountable in cases of non-consensual, when there is no consensus with respect to the sexual act. And if we see our rape laws, they are also very gendered. That means a traditional rape laws are based on the assumption that we need to protect women because women are always the victim of any sexual assault. We have till now not addressed the male victims of sexual assault. Forget about the LGBTQ community. Again, the traditional rape laws also, always address the heteronormative assumptions. That means they say that the sexual violence would only occur within the heterosexual relationships. So in this way, the same-sex relationships are ignored in the rape laws of today. So the non-consensual sexual act victims, how, what, and where they will go. Okay, so this concern needs to be seen. Again, coming to the adultery, we have struck down as it was struck down, it was regarded as unconstitutional in 2018. The adultery has been omitted, right? So these were the major changes we did. Some changes we made, some new offenses we have added, and something we have altogether deleted. So we need to know about all these provisions. So this was for this topic's discussion. So let's now come to the second article of the day, that is how UK's ad regulator, it has banned advertisements from Air France, Lufthansa and Etihad like airlines for allegedly misleading consumers because they were giving some false claims. They were saying that they are protecting the future, they are referring to sustainable aviation. So the UK's ad regulator has banned such advertisements over greenwashing claims. Okay, so what do you understand by greenwashing here? So greenwashing refers to any false claims, any deceptive marketing practice that has been used by the companies or organization to exaggerate or to falsely claim their commitment towards environmentally friendly practice, towards sustainability. That is when a company is highlighting that we are going for sustainable aspects of a product in order to overshadow its environmentally damaging activities. Okay, so for that reason, the regulator has banned. So here in this context, how the aviation industry is just falsely claiming, because we know that air travel, it can produce high levels of both CO2 and non-CO2 emissions. According to the IPCC 2022 estimates, it is contributing 2.5% of all the human produced CO2 emissions, and it can increase to 5% of the total contribution by 2050 if measures are not taken adequately to address these emissions. Right? This is one concern. Again, another concern is that the aviation emissions cannot be attributed to countries whenever there is international flights. In case of domestic flight, yes, the emissions that can be attributed to the country's emission accounts. But in cases of international flight, no country can be attributed to the emissions. So those fuels are called as bunker fuels, where we cannot attribute the emissions of the fuels to any particular country. This is a very, very important point to remember from the prelims point of view. Right? Again, there is another concern, third concern, that currently we are having no initiative, no commercially viable technology in operation within the aviation industry that can adequately quantify, that can adequately substantiate the green claims. So these are the main concerns with respect to the aviation industry claims, and why the ad regulator banned it over the greenwashing claims. Okay. Then this case, Volkswagen scandal scam of 2015, it's a clear case of greenwashing, where the German car company was found to be cheating in the emission testing with respect to its green diesel vehicles. Okay, so these points you have to remember from this article point of view. So let's now come to the third article of the day about the volcano that has erupted in Iceland, and why the island is so volcanically active. We'll see the reasons to it. So the volcano named Fagra Dasyak, the pronunciation I just checked in the internet, you can correct me otherwise. Okay, it is located in the Reykjanes Peninsula in the southwest Iceland. So these names you have to be familiar with. These names can come in the prelims, in the match the following, asking you that what it is exactly and what it is associated with. Okay, so you need to be very clear that this is a volcano in the Iceland. Okay, so it has erupted after weeks of intense earthquakes and tremors that happened in Iceland. So Iceland here is one of the most volcanically active regions on the planet. Okay, this is a picture of the volcanic eruption that is happening in the Iceland, that is north of Grindavik. So you need to know the names of the places and news you need to note. Okay, from the prelims point of view. So it has witnessed eruption after every 4-5 years. So frequent it is happening. And since 2021, the frequency has spiked to almost one eruption per year. So what makes Iceland so volcanically active? Because first reason is that it sits on the mid-Atlantic ridge. You all know in the geography lessons that it is the most volcanically active region. Mid-Atlantic ridge, which is the longest mountain range in the world under the sea, under the ocean, North Atlantic Ocean. And Iceland is sitting on that ridge. Okay, so it's the ridge here where the Iceland is sitting, and where the plates, North American plate and the Eurasian plate, they are moving apart a few centimeters every year. You need to know the names of the plates here also. North American plate, here you can check in the figure here, and the Eurasian plate, they are moving apart very slowly, a few centimeters every year, and that is how it is producing the volcanic rift zones. So when they are spread apart, okay, when they are pulled apart, then there is magma which is rising up. Okay, so magma is the term which we call underneath, and when it erupts and comes to the surface, we call it lava or ash. Okay, this is the first reason why Iceland is a volcanically active region. Second reason is that it sits over a hot zone. So what is hotspot? What is hotspot volcanism? It is any abnormally hot center in the mantle of the earth structure called as mantle plumes. So most of the mantle plumes, either they lie far away from the tectonic plate boundaries as seen in the Hawaiian hotspot, or they unusually lie near the plate boundaries that can comprise of large volume of volcanism. For example, Iceland hotspot. So it's a very volcanically active region. So with this particular news, the volcanoes as a topic becomes very, very important from this year's prelims and mains point of view. Okay, so here you need to know what are volcanoes, what are the different kinds of volcanoes, what are the terms associated with the volcanoes. Okay, so that you read in your geography lessons, and please revise that before going to the exam. Let's now come to the fourth article of the day, that the Bihar government is set to develop the Sita's birthplace. Okay, so here Bihar's Chief Minister Nitish Kumar, he has recently launched a 72 crore development plan for goddess Sita's birthplace at Sitamari's city of Mithila region of Bihar. So from the prelims point of view, the area Mithila becomes very, very important. Okay, so the geographical extent, which rivers flows through it, which paintings are famous there. Okay, everything we need to know. So coming to the geographical extent, it is to the north of Ganga and south of Himalayas. Okay, and Abul Fazal in Aini Akbari, this account has clearly mentioned about this region as one of the Paraganas in the areas of Bihar presently and the adjoining areas of Bihar and Nepal. And 7 major rivers flow through the Mithila region: Gandak, Kosi, Mahananda, Bhagwati, Kamala, Balan and Buddhi Gandak. Okay, and it finds mention, Mithila is also known as Mhala, which finds mention in the revenue records of the erstwhile Sangyut Prant, that is, United Provinces of Bihar, Bengal and Odisha. And again, Madhubani art or Mithila painting is practiced in this region. This art or painting is very, very important from your art and culture point of view. Okay, so you need to be very clear. This is the picture of Madhubani painting over here. Okay, so these are facts, you need to keep it in your mind from the prelims point of view. Okay, it can be very well asked about the rivers which are flowing, and about the art there. Okay, and about the geographical extent there, about the geography of that region there. Then we come to the fifth article of the day, that is Post Office Bill 2023, which has been recently passed by the Parliament, and which seeks to replace the colonial era Indian Post Office Act 1898. So basically it was an attempt to ensure the effective functioning of the postal department as a messenger service and a provider of the banking facilities. So here we will see the key highlights. So here it has replaced the colonial era Indian Post Office Act 1898. It has regulated India Post as a departmental undertaking of the central government. But here the government will not have any exclusive privilege over the conveying letters. The services will be provided by the Indian Post Office under the prescribed rules. Okay, and again the Director General of Postal Services will be appointed as head to the India Post. He will have all the powers to make regulations on various matters including tariffs for services, supply of postage stamps, etc. And the government may intercept. Here it has been given a power to the government, a draconian power to the government, that it may intercept any article that is transmitted through the India Post on the certain grounds of security of the state and public order. Very, very important provision of this bill 2023. So intercept का मतलब क्या है? It can be monitored, it can be inspected or even confiscated. Okay, the articles which are carried by the post office, by the postal mail, it can be confiscated on the grounds of public order and security of the state. Okay, and again, India Post will not incur any liability with regards to its service, except any liability prescribed through the rules. So any kind of delay, any kind of loss of items, for any such reasons, India Post will not be liable for the loss. So here comes the main issue of the bill. First is it does not specify any procedural safeguard for the interception of articles transmitted through the India Post. When there is no procedural safeguard, then there will be always a risk that the freedom of speech and expression would be compromised, would be violated. The right to privacy of the individuals would be compromised. And in this case, the individuals may fear censorship and also suppression of their communication through the India Post. Again, the grounds for the interception, including emergency, that can go beyond the reasonable restrictions guaranteed under the Constitution. So see how there is no clear picture of the procedural safeguards and how it can violate our freedom of speech and expression and right to privacy. Right? Then it exempts the India Post from any liability of the lapses. It has exempted the India Post from any liability of the lapses in the postal services. For example, for any loss, for any delay in the item, okay, item delivery, or any other shortcoming with relation to the delivery of the mail, there is no such mechanism. We cannot hold India Post liable for the lapses. Instead, it has delegated the authority to prescribe the liability rules to the central government over here. The bill has delegated this authority to prescribe, to make rules, the liability rules to the central government. So here comes the conflict of interest. How? Because it is the same agency, same entity, that is the central government, who is administering the India Post and also the authority to establish the liability rules. So in this case, the central government can make such rules which will not defame the India Post in any case. So it raises the concerns of impartiality and fairness in the process. So this conflict of interest you can actually quote in your ethics answer giving this example as well. Okay, then coming to the next issue, that it does not specify any offences and penalties. For example, there are no consequences for unauthorized opening of postal articles by a postal officer. Okay, so it can adversely impact the right to privacy of the consumers here. So these are the main issues with respect to the bill you should be knowing, you should be familiar with. Right? So this was all about today's topics discussion, and before that the short notes of the topics discussion will be provided in our Telegram channel, and the link for joining our Telegram channel will be provided in the description box. So do join us and check the short notes of this discussion. Till then, happy learning, goodbye, take care.